Welcome to another episode of Healing Through Love. Each week, we share ideas, experiences, and resources to increase the awareness of domestic and family violence and to empower survivors to grow and thrive. We talk with experts who share their advice, or with people who have experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their journey. This is all about healing through love. And now, here are your hosts, Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Dr. Maria delves into the intricate chemistry of the body under the impact of repetitive chronic trauma in episode 85.
As an adult was that I started to realize, okay, I need to do some work here, because as a child, you're growing up in that environment and you might not know, right, what is it that it's doing in you, it's affecting you, right? And you might not even be aware then of how you develop either coping mechanisms, how you start to interact with people and the world in a, I don't want to say unhealthy, but I'm going to say you develop a world because of what you are knowing and the way that you are living that helps you survive in that moment. But then that survival might not help you 10 or 20 years down the road.
The Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to the Healing Through Love podcast. I'm your host, Sharlene Lynch from sharlenelynch.com. Healing Through Love is here to help victims and survivors of domestic and family violence find their way back to living a more meaningful and powerful life. We interview experts and survivors who share their personal stories and offer advice to those who experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their healing journey. As well as the Healing Through Love podcast, we hold annual Pamper Days here in Adelaide, South Australia, for survivors of domestic and family violence. These local businesses come together and pay it forward by providing their services and resources for a day for our survivors, like a much needed day of indulgence. Think day spa on steroids. We're looking for organisations and people with similar values. So if this feels like a fit for you, please reach out to Healing Through Love. And I'm very excited that this year, in May this year, Healing Through Love Pamper Days went global. We have 8 beautiful souls globally who are running their own local Pamper Days. And I'm excited that we're taking this to the next level. Each week we interview amazing new guests, and this week is no different. We have the amazing Dr. Maria, who's founded, and I'm going to get her to say it because I keep getting it wrong, an integrated lifestyle medicine practice in Texas. Now, she discovered this while she was a resident and realized that there were some missing links where she could provide additional services to her patients, so outside of just the medicines that were actually prescribed. And so she has an integrated medicine consultation. So we're going to dive in deep and find out, Dr. Maria, why is it that you serve in this way?
Yeah, so thank you. So the name of the practice is Salud Revisited. And I chose that name. So salud is health in Spanish. Spanish is my first language. And why the word revisited? Well, a lot of the times when you go to your physician, when you are seeking care for your body, for your illnesses, or for your symptoms, yes, you might get prescribed a medication, but then also what happens is that the root cause or the reason why you might have the symptoms or the illness, it's not completely treated or it's not completely found. So what I like to offer to my patients is a different way of, one, relating to their bodies, and also a different way to take care of their bodies in a more gentle approach, where they're not an illness, they're not a symptom, they're not a disease, right? They are a person that has whatever that medical condition might be, right? A person living with diabetes, right? And I'm really treating the person and not the diabetes, not the numbers. So that's the type of care that I provide. And working with patients for many years, I became frustrated with, at least here in the US healthcare system, I might see patients every 3, 6 months. I have a couple of minutes, so I just refill the prescriptions. But what we do is just continue to prescribe, right? Medicate them. And then if they get side effects of a medication, then I give them another medication for that side effect. And I saw a lot of what we call polypharmacy, right? So people that take more than 9 pills or medications per day. And what I realized is that, people were truly not getting healthy and they were not feeling better. They still had the same issues going. And in my own journey of health, I was a child that I grew up with diabetes. I grew up with back pain, very bad asthma. And what actually helped me live without illness, right? Living that I'm not sick, right? I don't live sick in my body was actually a lot of the other modalities that I learned growing up. And then when I went to medical school, none of that is taught. So once I finished, I started to kind of like re-educate myself and incorporate that into my practice. And I realized that it was going to be very challenging to continue to practice like that if I was in the traditional healthcare system.
Yes, so true. So it is a completely different paradigm here in Australia than it is in America. We take a much more holistic view of our health and our wealth and our well-being. Yes, and it's also driven, though, by socioeconomic distinction as well. So the challenges that we have in health really are directly related to income and lifestyle. So it's fascinating. Yes, and I speak to clients from the US all the time. It's a thing. It is a machine. It's a machine. It's almost how many tablets can we give them? And I've come across clients that have not myself, because I'm not a practitioner, but I've come across people who have said they've 12 different tablets and an entire box they need to carry around everywhere they go, and that they just become attached to having to take these, and they're like, that's the thing that's keeping them healthy, as opposed to their thought process or how they're living and how they're thinking, and the words that they're using are really the things that are driving your health and your wealth. It's fascinating, and I just take my hat off to you, Dr. Maria. You're taking on the big boys, with what it is that you bring to this planet, and how you are challenging people to shift the way that they can bring their own power back to their own wellness. I just, congratulations. We need an entire army of you so that we can shift this big pharma culture that is really it's metastasizing the entire industry. And if we can find a way to remove said cancer, we can just live a different life and have healthier humans. I love it. Congratulations. This is fantastic. So just curious, what type of clients, or let's say what type of illnesses, if that's a better way to talk about it, are you, I mean, obviously you could fix everything with the work that you do, but is there an area that you normally help?
Yes. So I'm very passionate about helping people that have diabetes, right? People that are living with diabetes, because I grew up with diabetes and I now are in what we call remission. And the other thing that I'm very passionate about is, helping women that want to heal the relationship with their bodies. They might not necessarily have a DSM-5, diagnostic like eating disorder or body dysmorphia, but they still have, a relationship where we're still not completely happy. They want to have a healthier weight, right? And they feel that it is related to like their hormones. And they're really looking for like that answer that can be more sustainable than, let's call it like yo-yo dieting, right? So they're looking for something that will give them like permanent results. And at the same time, they are aware that they have to work in the relationship with themselves.
Yes, yes, and yes. So I'm 57, Dr. Maria, and just recently married, March this year. And look, I've noticed the weight increase since the wedding. I don't know if I could fit back in that wedding dress because it's a few kilos. And yeah, same feeling that like, yes, part of it's lifestyle. We eat out way too much. That's just because we're real foodies and we love the whole concept of just going out for dinner and someone else doing the dishes. Like it's just the two of us. There's no cell phones. We've got beautiful conversations. Someone's serving us, and it's a beautiful couple thing to do. So that, and we just love food. So, but yes, I've noticed an increase. I won't even say how many kilos, but quite a few. And if I think about it, it seems to be hormone related as well. So obviously there's a lot of us at this age that are going through life changes, and those change in hormones are really changing our weight. So look, even if it's only 5 or 10 kilos you're looking to lose, this sounds like sounds like a solution. So how do you work with people? Because I'm on the other side of the world. So do you work online or in person? Like, how does that work, Dr. Maria?
Yeah, so I am licensed to see patients in the state of Texas. So you do need to live in the state of Texas, but I see most of my patients online. I do see patients in person so I'm located in Houston, in the Houston area. So only in the Houston area, and it has to be by appointment only. But a lot of my patients, they just like the convenience of doing it virtual, and you can provide the same quality of care via the video. And a lot of the times that's what we do.
Yeah, I love it. It's a completely different environment now. Thank you, Zoom and everything that it brings, because it's so much easier. It doesn't matter where you are on the planet, that you can jump on and have these beautiful conversations. And I think that's one thing that COVID did teach us, is that what was done in person, we can still do online. And so a hard lesson to learn, yes, and it's shifted and changed the way that we do life and do business. So both isolating and connecting all at the same time. What a conundrum that is. I love it. So from the medical industry perspective, you can only actually assist people in your state. Yes, and the information though that you bring really can help everyone on the planet. So how do we get to share the love on that level, or do we just all have to come live in Texas?
So, that you could, so if you follow me online, right, either my blogs, my YouTube page, Instagram, or Facebook, you are going to probably get, I'm going to call them like educational tips, not prescriptive medicine. And there might be things there that you yourself can implement that are not necessarily, again, what we consider this prescriptive, I'm telling you to do this, right? But maybe some self-care tools, right? Or maybe, right, you read one of my blogs and you now have a knowledge and an understanding. And the next time that you go and visit your physician, you can tell them, hey, how about this test? Or, hey, what is my X number, right? And I think that that's also important because, again, when we become empowered, that's how we can regain that control. That's how I can take over my health rather than having this third party, this person, whether it is your physician, right? Or here in the States, how we have like insurance and all of these other layers of third parties actually more in control of people's health than they themselves.
Oh, I love it. Yes. And that's great that we can contact you on all of these platforms and get beautiful information to help us live a more empowered life. It's fantastic. So the two areas that you predominantly help is people that are diabetes, either born with it or they develop it, and then also predominantly women with wanting to re-look at their weight situation. Yes, predominantly losing it on, I'm going to assume.
Yes. Usually people are not seeking help for gaining weight.
Yeah, but that actually is quite a niche industry. So I actually do have a client that deals with that, but most of it is children that are having a failure to thrive and helping them helping the parents shift the way that they think about food. So that's fascinating. I wonder if it works in reverse. I love it. So moving forward for you, so what's next for you with your practice and how you're making a difference and an impact for other people?
Yeah, so at least next, so two things that are coming up next year. So one is I'm going to be adding acupuncture services, right? So yes, I find that to be an extremely gentle modality, in terms of healing. It has less side effect than a lot of the medications that we prescribe, and it's going to be very effective to help people with certain like illnesses or symptoms. So that's a big one. And then the other one is that I am going to start what we call chair medical appointments. So these are, so think of like group visits, right? Group coaching. You are in a group doing like personal training. So this is, you are in a group having medical appointments with me and with other people in the group. And it's going to be specific for women that have diabetes type 2, so type 2 diabetes, and that they really want to learn, okay, so how can I come off of this medication? How was it, Dr. Maria, that you did it growing up? I want to do the same thing so that I can enjoy this life and live freer. So that is coming at the beginning of 2024. So if you live in the state of Texas, you are a woman living with type 2 diabetes, or you know somebody that lives with type 2 diabetes that really wants to come off their medication, this might be a program good for you. So those are the two big things.
Oh, I love it. Sounds absolutely fascinating. Is there a book on your horizon, Dr. Maria?
Yeah, so I wrote a book. It's already published. I actually published it last year, like at this time, and it's called Healing the Wounds of Medicine: Stories and Journaling for Physicians. I don't know if I'm going to be writing another one in the near future. Probably yes. I'm not sure that it will be next year. But in my own healing journey, right? When I started to do, let's call it work, right, to heal for complex PTSD, right? It's specifically developmental trauma, right? And developmental trauma that came because I grew up in a home where there was a lot of intimate partner violence, right? So I grew up in this, and as an adult was that I started to realize, okay, I need to do some work here, because as a child, you're growing up in that environment and you might not know, right, what is it that is it's doing in you, it's affecting you, right? And you might not even be aware then of how you develop either coping mechanisms, how you start to interact with people and the world in a, I don't want to say unhealthy, but I'm going to say you develop a world because of what you are knowing and the way that you are living that helps you survive in that moment. But then that survival might not help you 10 or 20 years down the road. So when I started to do my work, and I did what is called the power of the other hand and some journaling with my non-dominant hand and a lot of exercises, all of a sudden I realized, wait, there is a lot of similarities between things that are dynamics, right, in my family of origin that I could also see in medicine, right? And again, I do not know the Australian medical education system, right? But here in the US, you are taught to, one, ignore your body and your needs, right? The best way that I can explain it is they wire us to be very codependent in a way, put other people first, right? And I think that, yes, in medicine, you're here to serve people. But the reality is that if you are not taking good care of yourself, you're not going to be able to really help anybody, right? And so I got, I was able to develop certain skills and tools that helped me in my own healing journey. That I was able to translate that specifically for physicians. And here in the US, right, we have been, especially post-COVID, we have been losing a lot of our healthcare clinicians, especially primary care physicians, right? And one day I brought this up to one of like the academies, which is like, a board or, an agency of people that are supposed to like help doctors. And I was like, this is going on and I think that we should do something. And the response was like, well, people will always leave medicine and they have different reasons to do it. And I'm like, yes. And part of the reason is because they cannot see any other way out. And me and my own journey, I wanted to stay in medicine, right? I was also at that point of, again, as I did a lot of my healing work in that journey, I was like, whoa, medicine has me like in sympathetic mode up here, and I don't want to live up there anymore. And I was like, okay, so how can I still practice medicine, what I love, but not live like that? And that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book for physicians that want to stay in medicine, but that recognize that there are some wounds of the profession and that they want to develop these tools that, yes, in a way can be translated to a lot of other areas of your life, because we are all exposed to events of pain that can provoke in our bodies a response that can be traumatic.
Yes. What do they say? Physician, heal thyself. Yes, true. And we're drawn to what it is that we need. And I know that I studied holistic psychology. Really, it was to fix my own head. So it's interesting that we lean into this. Now, I've got to ask, from the perspective of the diabetes, if we go with the process that we not necessarily create our illnesses, but the thought frequency that we hold helps it to manifest. What do you think diabetes comes from? Yes, obviously we've got the medical reason for it, but what thought process do you think helps diabetes manifest in our body?
Well, I can definitely tell you, so when I tell people, oh, I was a child growing up with diabetes, they always think that is like insulin-dependent diabetes, right? What is known as type 1 diabetes, because I was a child. And I'm like, well, no, it's not insulin-dependent, it's type 2. So I think that when you create an environment, right, that again puts you very high sympathetic, adrenaline, stress, rush, go, go, go. Whether it is that you are creating it yourself or you are in that environment, right, and do not have the tools or the capacity still to get out, that we know that contributes to the development of type 2 diabetes.
Right? So high stress?
Yes, high stress, because cortisol and adrenaline go up, right, those two hormones, right?
Yeah. So it's like for myself, I was asthmatic and I also was allergic to seafood. And so amongst other things, because I was quite complex. But what I noticed is that there were thought processes that supported that illness that literally allowed it to manifest in my body. So for me, the asthma was not loving myself. So as soon as I could understand that I needed to love myself, it helped me manage my asthma. And interestingly enough, my child had asthma. And when I could teach him to change his breathing and teach him how to love himself, it enabled him to get over his asthma, all without medication. And the very serious seafood allergy that was really anaphylactic shock if it got that bad, that was my aggression. That was my allergy to my father. And once I recovered and worked through that relationship. Look, it took me 10 years, but once I recovered that relationship, not only were my dad and I were best friends after that, but my seafood allergy literally just disappeared overnight. And so I don't know. I think if we can get to the bottom of the thought process that's holding us in this challenge, then we can unpack that as well. And then we can get to this all without medicine, really.
Yes.
It's about teaching us to empower ourselves with the thought processes and the frequencies in and around health. I love it. You're speaking my language, Dr. Maria. I love it. If I could get you to go global, that would be amazing, because the rest of the world needs your help. I'm sure there's a way we can leverage you out of Texas so that you can actually assist the rest of the planet, because we need you. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. So I love your work, and I feel that there could be another book inside there just with a few things that you're saying. I love it. So we've got your link here in the show notes and also in the description, so people can reach out to you. I love the concept of group therapy, the dynamics of being in the proximity of people that have a similar challenge and going through a process together, that there's an energy shift and a proximity that helps elevate everybody through the process, that just helping a person one-on-one, it's not there. This is a group dynamic thing, and humans are a group dynamic. This is who we are. We're a tribal being. So I love that you're bringing that to us. I think it's fantastic. So I'd love to know, just in closing, because we're almost getting ready to close, Dr. Maria, what would be your words of wisdom to the planet?
Yeah, so I have two sayings, and one is this one is a little bit funny. So your body's not a microwave. And what I mean by that is, I think because a lot has changed so much in society and culture when it comes to relating to our body and truly our body healing, right? So I'm talking of the healing that's going to happen at the core of who you are, at the microscopic level that you cannot see, right? And that not only DNA repair, but that mindset, right? That forgiveness, that self-contempt, right? All of that heal, that takes time. That's a journey, right? That is not this instant fix. And, I invite people to develop a more kind and gentle relationship with their bodies, because that way it will allow it to heal. Versus when we get upset because the body's not responding as quickly as we wanted to respond, because we are so used to putting things in the microwave, and in a minute it's completely hot, right? So that's one. The other thing is, you can rewrite your story. And when I think about health, I'm not only thinking about the physical health, right? And yes, physically you can rewrite your story, you lose weight and keep it off for forever, right? But I'm also talking about the aspects of health that are related to your emotional well-being, to how you take care again of your emotional well-being, right? So how you manage anxiety, stress, those things are going to come. How do you manage grief? How do you manage pain? Is that staying inside of you, right? Or are you able to manage that? How do you develop a relationship, a spiritual relationship? And I'm not necessarily talking about a higher power. I'm talking about, we're all spirit, the you, right? And I'm also talking about, as you examined your health from a holistic perspective, right? How will that influence your relationship, for example, with like finances, your environment, right? And your environment is not only where you live, but it's also with who you hang out, where you hang out, right? And that perspective, that rewriting your story takes time. But there's this beautiful invitation of empowerment where you take the pen again and you say, this is what I want the next 10 years to look like. And that is where I am like, let's do this. And I help people find hope in what we call that liminal space, the here and the there, but still not where I want to be, because that's where we can struggle and that's where we can give up. So you can rewrite your story, and to rewrite it, remember that you were not designed to work as a microwave.
I love it. That is going to stay in my mind, that we're not designed to work as a microwave. It will happen. It just won't happen overnight. I love this. I love it. Thank you, Dr. Maria. It's been a powerful conversation with you, and your links are going to be in the bio and in the show notes. In a world where shadows often fall in the corners of our lives, where there is a beacon of hope, and it's healing through love. We're a community dedicated to shifting awareness on domestic and family violence, transforming pain to empowerment. Every story matters. Every voice can make a difference. Join us as we journey together towards healing and love. Your support, your voice can light up the darkness. Healing through love, because everyone deserves a life free from fear. Together, we can make it a reality. Thank you very much for joining us today. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Through Love. You can get further resources, see the show notes, or simply reach out to us via our website at htlaustralia.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your company next time on the Healing Through Love podcast.